Ladies, listen closely to this man speak. You can tell this woman that he is with is his placeholder. He asked this in the Ask Men Over 30 subreddit. He says, wasted youth / prime in a relationship? Everything feels safe, but not ready for kids. Oh my goodness. He said he wasted his youth in prime in this relationship. You know that this woman is a placeholder. He says, dear wise and love-savvy fellow citizens, I'm carrying a frustrating fear that I've wasted my youth / prime in a committed relationship. Here's the situation. I, 32-year-old man, live in the suburbs with my sweet girlfriend who's 31, whom I've been with for 8 years. We met in my mid-20s during a rough mental period. Time has flown since. And now I'm 32 and facing the question of whether to start having kids. So she's a sweet lady. She helped him during a bad mental period, but this is what she's going to get out of this. It ties my stomach in knots because I don't feel ready. Beyond that, I have an unsettling sense that I've spent my time wrong. I've always been fond of women and dancing, and I feel extremely attracted to many beautiful women walking around in the city. I'm fairly well built myself, but have never used my looks with confidence. I've never used dating apps and have a body count of about 20 something. I don't know if that signals I've experienced too little, just enough, or too much. I've mostly taken what came my way. That included my girlfriend, and we've had a very safe and warm relationship full of care and mutual understanding. But now I feel a bit drained by it, and I'm scared of all the experiences I've missed out on by not being single between 26 and 30 when I could have spread my wings. When I see the gray hairs in the mirror, there's just this feeling that the ship has sailed, and now I'm in this safe relationship where I feel unchallenged and unmotivated. The only thing left is kids, which make everything more serious, but could also be wonderful, or so people say about having kids. My girlfriend is a very warm person and will probably be a great mom, but she struggles with confidence. I feel like I've learned all I can from her and dream of a woman who challenges me in different ways. Our sex life is largely on my terms, which is both great, but sometimes flat. Moreover, I have a feeling I could date someone who better fits my physical ideals. But then again, maybe that's just the self-delusion because a partner is a package deal and no one's perfect. Still, I'm tall and she's quite short. And when I see tall women in the city, it feels extra attractive, like something biological clicks and says, ding, ding. I feel like I'm in a catch-22. If I stay, the relationship has been worth it, a nice home, kids, and a good story. But if I break up, then the relationship feels wasted because those 8 years ultimately led to nothing. Everything is heightened by the decision about having kids, as I don't want to deceive her or waste her time in terms of her desires and biological clock. I should also mention that I'm currently unemployed and have been a bit of a doubter. I'm aware that I just can't offload the responsibility of making my life exciting onto her. But this doubt has also been present, even peaking when I've been working or studying. So he's unemployed too. He says, I'm unemployed. I'm currently unemployed. Jesus, the audacity and the delusion. What does one do in a situation like this, except that life is like this? Venture out into a new chapter where life feels more exciting and authentic. Go out, realize I had it better than I thought and regret leaving her. Work on personal growth instead of demanding it from my partner. Just get a job and say it's good enough. I'm torn and could really use some advice or shared experiences from anyone who's been through something similar. Lastly, I would like to add that I deeply appreciate my girlfriend. We support each other a lot in our daily lives. We provide each other with care, listening, and attention. She's a wonderful woman. However, the purpose of this post is to dissect and self-expose my doubts. This is what he's saying about this woman that has been with him for 8 years. She's what I deeply appreciate, my girlfriend. And he's unemployed, so she must be footing the bill. The mention of body count is included to provide as much relevant context as possible within the scope of this post to shed light on the situation in terms of youth and how much one should live it out, seeking advice and thank you in advance. Ladies, if you could have just a percentage of the audacity and nerve of this type of person, you would go far. This dude is unemployed and sitting up here like getting these ding ding bells as a beautiful tall woman walks by. Just imagine if he had the gall to actually go up to her. Yeah, I got a woman at home. I'm not working, but you are who I think I should be with. Okay, this is another reason why the ladies that are in, like this person talking about the waiting to wed subreddit, that's the reason why these ladies in the waiting to wed subreddit should stop it, because they are simply placeholders like this warm and sweet girlfriend. He doesn't say anything about this woman except that she's been with him since a tough mental time. We know that she must be footing the bill and that she's sweet and would probably make a good mother, and she's 31. So if this woman had any delusions that she was going to get married and have kids because they live in the suburbs, he's literally not even thinking about her and her life. He's just thinking about everything, all of the women that he has not smashed. That is all that's on his mind. All right, the burner account says, for the love of God, break up. Waiting to read, and then tags the waiting to read subreddit saying, it's obvious that you have no plans of marriage or anything serious, and she is just your placeholder. Actually, her youth is being wasted on you. Imagine being with an unemployed dude who thinks he is better than her. Not trying to be harsh, but you are so tone deaf. Lastly, get a job, any job. Britt Brad, a woman, says, when I was 23 to 29, I dated a guy who was actually really great, but I was nothing more than a placeholder for him. Sometimes I do feel like I wasted my youth on him, but I learned a lot from him. He was my longest relationship. He wasn't tone deaf like the OP. He was a decent looking guy, had a decent job and really cared for me, a decent looking full-time working woman. We just saw ourselves going in different directions. In the last year of us being together, we tried hard to make things work, but realized we'd simply ran our course. It's been about 5 years, and he and I are actually decent friends. Granted, it took us a bit to get to this point. Enough about me. 2 things I can think on for this. OP, get a job and see what it's like coming home to the girlfriend every day. See who has your back on the bad days, because the girlfriend seems like a solid girl if she's been latching on to the OP while he's unemployed and pretty egotistical. OP and girlfriend simply have grown apart. More times than not, people don't come in your life for forever. If OP feels like he's wasting time with girlfriend, he probably is. Real Player Buffering says, you're in a situation that many find themselves in. I'm going to pick out a few things that jumped out at me in your story, though, because I think you are BSing yourself a bit. This part where he says, I've never used dating apps and have a body count of about 20-something. He says, what would be the right number? 20-something is higher than you think. Dating apps suck more than you're imagining from the comfort of your fantasies. This part where he says, I feel extremely attracted to many beautiful women walking around the city, saying, do you think that will go away if you trade up? This part where he says, I feel like I've learned all that I can from her. And then he says, don't be so sure. People will surprise you as they grow and change, and particularly through parenthood. I would argue that if you think you've learned all you can from her, you've probably stopped challenging each other. And then the part where he says, I have always been a bit of a doubter. He says, the grass is always greener. Look, there's no way to get back the years you feel you lost. You can't go backwards. Many people try, but it doesn't fill the hole and often creates a new one. You're around the 7-year itch stage. If you jump ship, it will probably happen again around the same length of time. The bigger question to ask yourself here is whether you actually love your girlfriend. I think a lot of these kinds of stories people tell themselves in your situation are a cover for a deeper dissatisfaction in a relationship. Be honest. Did you settle for her when you got together? Well, maybe because he was in a tough mental stage at that particular point in time, and she was actually there for him. And now he's probably looking at her like, how could you be with someone like me? That's probably what's going on, especially when he's unemployed. Like, how could this woman settle for an unemployed man? That's literally what he is thinking of this woman. All right, and the person at the bottom says, if you feel even for a moment you're settling in the relationship, you'll waste her life if you have kids with her, and F up their lives too when you inevitably get divorced. It's normal to imagine being with other people, but you should always be glad you're with your person. This person, this OP who is writing this, is incredibly selfish. He's a terrible person, and he knows that this woman is settling for him. And he's looking at her like, why would you settle for a person like me? Like, he knows that she is like degrading herself or downgrading what she could be getting because he knows that he's not worth anything. That's what I think. But I do want you to go ahead and weigh in. What do you think about all of this? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like,